Hi, I'm Mark, 52, and 3 months ago I found out my son didn't just betray me, he handed my entire life's work to the one person who spent 20 years trying to ruin me. And I paid for his degree, his apartment, his car, his everything. This is the story of how I cut him off, rebuilt my life without him, and watched him learn the exact value of loyalty the hard way. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back to the beginning. I raised my son, Evan, mostly alone after my ex-wife Melissa decided she preferred finding herself in Bali with a yoga instructor named Finch. Yes, Finch. The man sounds like a salad. Evan was 10 when she left. One morning she was making French toast. That night she was FaceTiming from a beach with a guy wearing wooden beads and zero shame. So it was me and Evan. Just us. I'm a civil engineer. Started my own small firm at 34. Built it from a garage, then a rented office, then a proper building. I worked, hustled, sweated, and somehow managed to show up for every science fair, every basketball game, every parent-teacher conference. Evan grew up in a world I never had: private school, tutors, tech camps, a bedroom that looked like a sponsored ad for Apple products. And I did it because he was my kid. My only kid. My whole damn heart. But here's something I learned late. Kids don't automatically appreciate the parent who stays. Sometimes they romanticize the one who left. And Melissa? She was great at being the fun parent from afar, sending postcards from Thailand, gifts from Peru, spiritual advice from whatever mountaintop she was meditating on that month. She became this mystical, carefree goddess in Evan's mind. Meanwhile, I was the guy saying, "No, you can't have a $1,200 gaming chair." "Yes, you have to do your homework." "No, Evan, you're not quitting after-school robotics because you're bored." You know, parenting. He loved me, sure. But he adored her. Even though she saw him in person maybe once a year. When Evan turned 18, he wanted to study business. He said he dreamed of building something like I did. I was thrilled. I paid for everything. $68,000 tuition per year. An apartment near campus. A car. Monthly allowance. An internship at my firm. The kid had a runway most people dream about. During Thanksgiving break in his junior year, he dropped the first bomb. "Dad, Mom and Finch are thinking of starting a real estate consulting business." I almost choked on a dinner roll. "And they want me to join when I graduate." "Evan," I said, "your mother hasn't held a consistent job since the Bush administration." "She's changed," he said. "She's focused now. Finch has big ideas." Finch's biggest idea was not paying taxes for 7 straight years, but sure. I tried to stay calm. "You already have a guaranteed job here. A partner track. A future." He nodded politely, but I could see the gears turning. Finch had gotten in his head. That was the first red flag. The second came 6 months later. The third, that was nuclear. But I'll get to that. Because the real story, the part where everything breaks, begins the day I discovered what my son really did with the trust, access, and opportunity one spent 20 years giving him. And it started with one email. One I was never meant to see. The email wasn't dramatic. No bold letters. No threats. No subject line that screamed "Your life is about to go up in flames." It was a forwarded message. Accidental. Sent to me at 2:13 a.m. By Evan, probably when he meant to forward it to Melissa. And it said, "Attached, Dad's full client list plus proposal templates. Finch says this will help us get started." I stared at it for a full minute, convinced my eyes were playing tricks on me. Client list? Proposal templates? Us? I clicked the attachment, a spreadsheet I recognized instantly. It was the document my company kept on a password-protected drive, accessible only to senior partners and Evan. Because I trusted him. Because I gave him a paid internship and full access so he could learn the ropes. Because I thought grooming my son to take over the company one day was a legacy. Turns out, I was handing him the keys to burn it down. The forwarded chain told the rest of the story. Evan had been secretly working with Melissa and Finch for over a year. They'd convinced him that my company was old school and outdated. He needed freedom from parental control. He deserved to build his own empire. And his dad, me, was holding him back. Finch wrote paragraphs about energetic alignment in business, which, translated, means give me your father's intellectual property so I don't have to work. And Evan? He responded with, don't worry. Dad will never know. My hands literally shook. Not metaphorically. Actually shook. Even worse? Evan had sent them our pricing structures, internal workflows, supply chain contacts, vendor discounts, my personal client notes. And this one hurt, a pitch deck I'd been developing for 6 months. He sold 20 years of my work for free. Not for money. For validation from the mother who once traded him for a plane ticket to Bali. I didn't sleep that night. I drove to the office at 4 a.m., sat in the dark conference room, and read every email in the chain. By sunrise, I'd made my decisions. All of them. At noon, Evan walked into my office like nothing happened. Morning, Dad, he said, dropping his backpack on the floor. Want coffee? I'm heading to the cafe. I nodded. Sure. Let's talk. He sat across from me, smiling, oblivious. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't show anger. I just opened my laptop, turned it around, and said, Do you want to explain this? He looked at the screen. His face went gray. Then pink. Then white again. Dad, this is, okay, look, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I said calmly. I was just helping them get started. You gave my entire business to Finch. No. Not gave, shared. We're family. She left you when you were 10, Evan. He flinched. That's not fair, he muttered. Neither is stealing from me. He tried again. I didn't steal anything. I just thought, if Mom and Finch succeed, it helps all of us. No, I said quietly. It helps them. You handed them everything they need to compete with me. And you did it behind my back. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Dad, I didn't think you'd react like this. That sentence. That one stupid sentence. Told me everything. He didn't think I'd react because he thought I'd forgive anything. He thought my love meant there were no consequences. He thought being my son meant immunity. He thought wrong. I pulled a folder from my drawer and placed it in front of him. Effective immediately, I said. Your internship is over. His mouth fell open. Dad, your access to all company systems is removed. Dad, come on. The apartment lease ends next month. Wait, what? The car goes back to the dealership this week. Are you serious? And your tuition for senior year will not be covered. If you want to finish your degree, you'll fund it yourself. He shot out of his chair. You can't do this. You did this, I said. I'm just responding. His face twisted. You're ruining my future over one mistake? One mistake? I laughed once, short, bitter. You spent a year helping Finch build a competing business. You leaked confidential data. You undermined my company. And you would have kept doing it until I found out. He paced like a caged animal. This is insane. Mom said you'd overreact, but this is next level. Your mother encouraged you to betray me. And you listened. He stopped pacing. He didn't deny it. Didn't apologize. Didn't show remorse. Instead, he said, She just gets me more than you do. There it was. The knife. Twisted. I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. Then go live with her. He blinked. What? No. I need the apartment. No. You need consequences. You can't just cut me off. I can. And I am. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Good. I was done protecting him from reality. Because reality was about to hit him like a freight train. And part of me, the part no parent admits to having, wanted him to feel every bit of it. For the first 2 weeks, Evan went silent. No texts. No calls. Not even a dramatic email with paragraphs of, "You'll regret this," or, "I'm cutting you off actually." Just nothing. Which honestly scared me more than anger would have. Silence meant he was doubling down. Silence meant he thought he could survive without me. Silence meant he still believed Finch was his golden ticket. But reality doesn't wait long to introduce itself. And in Evan's case, it arrived wearing cargo shorts, a vape, and a man bun. Finch. The first disaster hit 3 days after I cut Evan off. My operations manager, Rob, knocked on my office door. "You're gonna want to see this," he said, holding his phone like it was radioactive. On the screen was a brand new Instagram page. At Phoenix Prime _logistics. Their bio? Family built. Community driven. Revolutionizing fulfillment. Their logo? A flaming bird. My company's name? Phoenix Distribution Group. My logo? A phoenix. They didn't even try to be subtle. But the best part? Their first post was a photo of Finch standing in front of a rented cargo van, arms crossed like he was Steve Jobs reborn. Caption: Major contracts incoming. Huge growth ahead. Mentorship plus vision equals unstoppable. I stared at the screen for a good 10 seconds. Mentorship? Finch? The man whose biggest accomplishment was selling weed entrepreneurially in high school. I scrolled. Post number 2 was a poorly photoshopped client announcement using MY proposal template, with the logos removed so badly you could still see the faint outlines. Post number 3 was a selfie of Finch and Evan at a coffee shop. Caption: Father-son business grind. Father. Son. I had to reread it twice. Rob muttered, "Sir, with respect, if you want me to run them over with a forklift, I'll do it and plead temporary insanity." I waved him off. No. Let's just watch them implode. Because they would. And holy hell, they did. Disaster number 2 happened 1 week later. Evans University emailed me, automatically, because I was previously listed as financial guarantor. Subject line: Urgent, tuition payment overdue. The amount? $14,782 due immediately. I deleted the email. 2 hours later, Evan texted me. "Dad, I need you to call me ASAP. Please. Please." I didn't. Later, Chris from work said casually, "You hear about Evan?" "No. He dropped out. Or got kicked out. Depends on who you believe." I nodded once. Not proud. Not smug. Just resigned. Choices always come home to roost. Disaster number 3 was my personal favorite. A client, a big client, forwarded me an email they received from Finch. Yes. Finch emailed a Fortune 500 distribution head. His pitch opened with, "Greetings, esteemed shipping warlord." No, really. Then he offered them half the industry standard pricing, unrealistic delivery timelines, and a personalized spiritual logistics consultation. My client wrote at the top, "Daniel, is this a prank? Should I be concerned?" I replied, "Not a prank. And no, you should not be concerned." That night, I poured myself a whiskey and toasted to watching dumb men self-destruct in real time. Then came the storm. And by storm I mean disaster number 4, the one that finally cracked Evan's delusion. Saturday morning, 7:14 a.m. My phone buzzed. Evan, 20 missed calls. Mom, 14 missed calls. Unknown number for missed calls. Voicemail, 6 new. I considered throwing the phone in the sink and walking into the desert. But curiosity won. The first voicemail was from Evan. He was crying. Not polite, Singleton crying. Ugly crying. Dad, please call me back, Finch. Oh my God, Dad, I didn't know. Please, I'm so sorry. Just call me, please. I blinked. The second voicemail? Crystal. Screaming. Daniel, you need to come fix this. Why did you do this to him? You ruined everything. That one I actually laughed at. Then the third voicemail. A man introduced himself as Detective Morris. Detective. I sat up. My heartbeat picked up. Mr. Taylor, we're trying to reach you regarding your son Evan and an active investigation. This is time sensitive. Please call back immediately. Oh no. I called back instantly. He answered on the first ring. Mr. Taylor? We have your son here. He's safe, but we need you to come down to the station. Safe? What happened? Sir, it's regarding an incident with his business associates. Finch? A pause. Yes, sir. Finch. What did he do? Another pause. Sir, do you know what wire fraud is? I closed my eyes. Of course. Of course. I grabbed my keys. Because consequences were one thing. But jail? Jail was another. And I had no idea, walking into that station, just how bad it was going to get. The police station smelled like stale coffee and bad decisions. A fluorescent flicker headache kind of place. Detective Morris met me in the lobby, mid-50s, tired eyes, the look of a man who's seen too many idiots ruin their own futures. Mr. Taylor, he said, shaking my hand. Your son is in interview room 2. Interview? I repeated. Is he a suspect? A witness for now, Morris said carefully. But that can change depending on what we confirm. My stomach tightened. He led me down the hall, past the guy screaming about his constitutional rights, and opened the door to a small room with a metal table and 2 chairs. Evan sat there, red-eyed, pale, shaking. And when he looked at me, he didn't look angry. He looked 5 years old. Like he'd skinned his knee and needed someone to fix it. Dad, he croaked. I didn't go to him. Just sat down across the table. Tell me. He swallowed, hands trembling. It's bad. What did Finch do? At the name, Evan's face crumpled. He wasn't who I thought. No kidding. He scammed you? No, Dad, it's worse. He scammed everyone. Detective Morris sat beside him, folding his hands. Mr. Taylor, your son partnered with Mr. Finch in what Mr. Finch claimed was a logistics startup. Claimed? I muttered. Keyword. Morris nodded. Here came the avalanche. Finch solicited investments from multiple university students. 8. Evan whispered. 8 of us. With the promise of equity in his new company. Which doesn't exist, I said. Oh, it exists, Morris replied. In the same way a sandcastle is technically architecture. He slid a folder toward me. Inside. Fake contracts. Laughable business plans. Screenshots of group chats filled with buzzwords. And a list of payments each student made. The amounts made my stomach drop. $2,000. $5,000. $7,500. $14,000. And then, Evan Taylor, $22,500. I stared at the number. Evan swallowed hard. It was my tuition money, he whispered. All of it. I closed the folder slowly. Let me guess, I said softly. He promised you some executive role? He said I'd be co-founder. Evan muttered. He said I'd run the forecasting department because I grew up around your business. I pinched the bridge of my nose. And Finch? Where is he? He fled, Morris said. With nearly $100,000. Of course he fled. Of course the minute Evan stopped being useful, Finch turned into a ghost. I exhaled. So what now? I asked. What happens to my son? That depends, Morris said. He claims he didn't know the operation was fraudulent. I looked at Evan. Did you? Evan's eyes filled again. I really thought we were building something. Finch told me he had contacts. He had this whole pitch about disrupting the logistics space. He said you would eventually regret not supporting us. I believed him. He choked. For the first time, Dad, I felt like I wasn't just your kid. I felt like I was doing something on my own. Like I had value. Like I wasn't just living in your shadow. I froze. That sentence hit me harder than anything had in years. Because for the first time, I really realized, he wasn't choosing Finch over me. He was choosing identity over dependence. He wasn't trying to replace me. He was trying to escape me. And Finch just happened to be the perfect parasite to exploit that. I softened my voice. Evan, look at me. He lifted his head. You're not in my shadow. You never were. I built the business. You're supposed to build your life. Not mine. Not his. But I failed. No, I said. You trusted the wrong person. That's not failure. That's a very expensive education. He let out a broken laugh. Morris cleared his throat. Mr. Taylor, your son may need legal representation if Finch tries to pin involvement on him. It happens often. Mastermind disappears, leaves pawns to take the fall. My jaw clenched. Not a chance. My son isn't taking the fall for that scumbag. Evan blinked, stunned. Dad, you'd help me? After everything? Yes, I said immediately. Consequences don't mean abandonment. You're still my kid. He started crying again. This time from relief. But the emotional clarity didn't last long. Because the next blow hit minutes later. Detective Morris asked casually. Mr. Taylor, were you aware your son emailed several of your clients last month? I turned slowly. What? Evan went dead still. Morris opened another folder. Emails. Dozens of them. Sent from Evan's account. To MY clients. Pitching Finch's company. Offering discounts. Offering services. Undercutting MY contracts. I felt the slow, cold burn of betrayal rise up my spine. Evan, I said. Tell me you didn't. He started shaking again. Finch said, it wasn't supposed to hurt your business. He said it would just get us visibility. Dad, I swear, I didn't think. You emailed my clients, I said quietly. Clients I've spent 20 years building relationships with. I'm sorry, Dad, I'm so sorry. You used my name. My reputation. My industry contacts. After I cut you off, you tried to siphon from my business behind my back. I didn't know, Finch said. Dad, please. Detective Morris stood. I'll give you 2 minutes. He left. The door clicked shut. The silence felt suffocating. I stared at my son. He stared at the table. Evan, I said finally, I can help you with the legal fallout. I can protect you from Finch's mess. But I cannot protect you from this. He looked up, terrified. This, I said, tapping the emails, is betrayal. Dad, you didn't just get scammed, Evan. You tried to use my company to fuel the scam. He broke. Completely. I didn't mean to. I was desperate. I thought if I could bring in clients, you'd see I wasn't useless. I'd show you I could build something like you did. Dad, please. Dad, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And that's when the midpoint broke open. The truth. Ugly and raw. He didn't want money. He didn't want Finch. He wanted me to finally say, I'm proud of you. But he chose the worst possible path to get there. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. Evan, I said, I will get you a lawyer. I will keep you out of jail. I will help you stand back up. He sobbed harder. But after that, I continued, you will rebuild your life yourself. Not through Finch. Not through me. And definitely not through my clients. He nodded through tears. I'll do anything, he whispered. Anything to fix this. I believed him. Because for the first time in years he meant it. But consequences were still coming. And neither of us yet knew just how brutal the fall was going to be. The lawyer I hired for Evan was a pit bull in a suit. A 5 feet 3 inches woman named Marlene Ochoa who could probably make Satan confess to crimes he didn't commit. She sat down with Evan for 2 hours at the station while I waited outside, staring holes into the vending machine like it personally offended me. When they emerged, Evan looked wrung out but steadier. Marlene looked mildly entertained. Your son, she said, is gullible. Not malicious. Good news is that's easier to defend. What's the bad news? I asked. She sat, crossed her legs, and clicked her pen. The bad news is he left a digital trail so loud it practically screams hi. I helped. Evan wilted. Marlene continued. The emails to your clients? Those look bad. Really bad. Finch is already trying to shift blame onto the team. He's naming Evan and the other kids as co-conspirators. I clenched my jaw. So what do? We make him the prosecution's favorite little helper. Evan looked horrified. Like snitch? Marlene shrugged. Like someone who cooperates fully with investigators in exchange for not being devoured by the justice system. Evan nodded slowly. Fine. I'll do whatever I need to. Good. Because the universe wasn't done hitting this kid yet. The next day, disaster number 5 struck. Finch resurfaced. Not in person, obviously. Cowards don't do in person. He resurfaced on TikTok. Yes. TikTok. With a video captioned, "The truth about Phoenix Prime and the betrayal I faced." I've never clicked something faster in my life. The video opened with Finch wearing sunglasses indoors, fake crying like a toddler denied an iPad. Guys, I was sabotaged by my own team. He sniffed. One of the investors stole our seed funds. I trusted him. He was like a little brother to me. My hands curled into fists. He continued. And his dad, this big logistics mogul, tried to destroy our startup because he felt threatened. This is what happens when old money bullies young innovators. I nearly threw my phone. Old money? I grew up eating ramen and fixing my own trucks with duct tape. But the best part? He ended with, just wait until the truth comes out. Certain people are going to prison. Evan saw it before I did. He called me, panicked. Dad, Finch posted a video. He's saying I stole the money. He's saying you sabotage us. What do we do, Dad? What do I? Evan, I said. Breathe. But he's lying. What if people believe him? What if the DA believes him? They won't. How do you know? He's convincing, he's saying. Because the DA already has his bank records, I said calmly. And they show Finch wired $98,000 straight into a crypto wallet labeled Big Daddy Merlin 420. He's not exactly Moriarty. Evan froze. Big Daddy Merlin 420? Yeah. Criminal masterminds are dead. He let out a hysterical laugh that was half sob. But the fallout wasn't done. Because now people were calling me. Clients. Associates. Friends. All asking the same question. Why is your son on TikTok trending under hashtag StartupFraudKid? Great. Exactly the legacy I dreamed of. I spent the afternoon doing damage control like a firefighter who just discovered the fire is also sentient and emotionally unstable. Meanwhile, Marlene was feeding information to detectives, shaping Evan into the misled and manipulated narrative that would keep him out of jail. But the real breaking point came that night. Around 9 p.m. When someone banged on my front door hard enough to wake the dead. I opened it to find Crystal standing there, mascara streaked, eyes wild. Oh good. Just what my blood pressure needed. You ruined our son! She screamed the moment I opened the door. My son, I corrected. Don't, she snapped. This is your fault. You cut him off, you abandoned him, and you pushed him straight into that criminal's arms. I laughed once. A short, humorless sound. Crystal, you abandoned him at age 3 to chase a man who lived in a van and played bongos. Don't lecture me about parental responsibility. She flinched, but recovered fast. If you hadn't been so controlling, so judgmental, he wouldn't have needed someone else to believe in him. He didn't need someone to believe in him, I said. He needed someone to teach him how to stand. You don't do that by coddling him or pandering to him. Finch didn't believe in him. Finch used him. She pointed a shaking finger at me. You couldn't just let him have one thing for himself. You took everything from him. No, I said. Finch took from him. And Evan chose badly. That's not on me. She stared at me, breathing hard, then spat. God, no wonder he wanted another father. Ah. There it was. The cheap shot. The same flavor as Allison calling her stepdad. The best father I could ask for. Except this time I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. Yeah, I said softly. And look where trusting the wrong one got him. Crystal froze. For once, she didn't have a comeback. She turned and stormed off, peeling out of my driveway like a NASCAR driver with emotional issues. I shut the door. I had just sat down when my phone buzzed. A text from Evan. Just 5 words. Dad, do you still want me? I stared at the screen. 5 words that summed up everything. All the anger. All the broken trust. All the regret. All the fear. And beneath it, the kid who once asked me to check for monsters under his bed. I typed slowly. Yes. But wanting you doesn't mean saving you. We fix this together, then you rebuild. Your choices. Your life. Your responsibility. He replied. Okay. I'm ready. But he wasn't. None of us were. Because part 6, the final part, wasn't about Finch. It wasn't about jail. It wasn't even about the money. It was about what Evan confessed next. Something that hit harder than every betrayal combined. Detective Morris called us back 2 days later. Finch has been located, he said. Where? I asked. Coachella. Of course. Where else does a 27-year-old con artist go after committing white-collar crime? Morris continued. He was arrested trying to sell fake backstage passes to a group of minors. I blinked. Is that related to our case? No. Entirely separate scam. Man's a multitasker. Good. Let the system have him. But as much as I wanted that to be the end, the real end started in a gray conference room at the precinct where Evan had to give his full statement. The official, nothing hidden, everything on record statement. He sat across from me, hands shaking, breath shallow, skin pale. But for the first time, he wasn't hiding behind excuses or bravado. He was just Evan. My kid. Scared out of his mind. Marlene sat beside him. Morris across the table. The recorder beeped on. Evan, Morris said gently, you're not under arrest. But this is sworn testimony. Do you understand? He nodded. Then start from the beginning. Evan inhaled shakily. And told the truth. Not the version he told detectives the first day. Not the version he told his mother. Not the version he told himself. The truth he'd been terrified to tell me. Finch didn't just talk me into investing, Evan said, voice trembling. He targeted me. How? Morris asked. He said I could never succeed under you. I stayed very still. He told me I was weak because I let you make all the decisions. He said I'd never be a real man unless I built something without you. He said you saw me as a failure. I felt something twist in my chest. He used your name, Dad, Evan whispered. Every time I doubted him, he'd say, this is why your dad doesn't respect you. My hands curled into fists. And I believed him, Evan said. Because part of me thought, maybe he was right. I exhaled slowly. Marlene squeezed Evan's shoulder. What made you believe him? She asked. Evan swallowed hard. Because I saw how great you were at everything. Business. Life. All of it. And I thought if I didn't do something spectacular on my own, I'd never be enough. His voice cracked. And I wanted, God, I really wanted, you to look at me the way you look at your employees when they impress you. Like you're proud. Proud of me. Not the company. Not what you built. Me. The room went quiet. Painfully quiet. And then he admitted it. The thing he'd been holding back for months. Finch told me, if I got even one of your clients to sign with us, it would prove I wasn't useless. He said it would show you I could compete with you. Stand with you. Be like you. His voice broke. That's why I emailed them. Not to steal your business. Not to betray you. I was trying to make you proud in the stupidest way possible. I closed my eyes. Because here it was. All along, he wasn't trying to tear me down. He was trying, desperately, to measure up. And nobody had taught him the difference between proving himself and burning bridges behind him. That was on me. On the years I spent building a company but never showing him that his value wasn't tied to replicating my success. When I opened my eyes, Evan was crying silently. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to be your son without being your competition. Finch told me that was the only way. And I believed him because no one else ever told me different. I took a long breath. Then another. Then I said the hardest sentence of my life. That's my fault. Evan's head snapped up. I should have told you years ago, I said, voice thick. I built this company so you'd never have to. Not so you'd try to beat me. I never needed you to match me. I just needed you to be you. His face crumpled. And I should have said I was proud of you 1,000 times. Not for business. Not for grades. For who you are. I failed you there. I own that. He sobbed, shoulders shaking. I messed everything up. Yes, I said honestly. You did. And so did I. Marlene wiped her eyes. Even Morris pretended to cough. It was messy. Painful. Real. And absolutely necessary. When we left the precinct, I expected tension. Distance. Awkward silence. I didn't expect Evan to stop in the parking lot, turn to me, and say softly, Dad, can we start over? I put a hand on his shoulder. No, I said. His face went blank. Then I added, we don't start over. We start from here. The real version. Honest. No more lies. No more proving yourself. Just us. His breath shuddered out. He nodded. We stood there in the fading afternoon light, not hugging, not crying, just existing in the same space without anger for the first time in months. It felt like the beginning of something possible. Not perfect. Not easy. But possible. Finch? He got charged with wire fraud. Investment fraud. Identity theft. 2 counts of selling fake VIP passes. 3 outstanding warrants in Nevada. He took a plea deal and got 3 years. Not nearly enough time, in my opinion, but enough that he won't be ruining any more dumb kids needing purpose. Evan? He cooperated fully. Not a single charge stuck. He moved back into a small apartment. Got a job at a supply chain software company, entry level, legit, earned. No shortcuts. No handouts. He asked me once if I could get him an interview somewhere. Better, I said. If you want better, earn better. He nodded and didn't ask again. Our relationship is different now. Simpler. Cleaner. Real. We have dinner twice a month. Sometimes he asks me for advice. Sometimes I ask him about work. Sometimes we just sit in silence. And last month, at one of those dinners, he said quietly, I'm proud of you, Dad. I smiled. Thanks, I said. Me too. He hesitated. Then added, I think you'd be proud of me too, if you saw what I'm building. I looked him straight in the eyes. I already am. He swallowed hard. Nodded. And for the first time since he was little, I saw peace settle on his face. Not perfection. Not certainty. But peace. We're rebuilding. Not the old version. A stronger one. And this time, he's not trying to be me. He's trying to be himself. Which, honestly, is better. Much, much better.